Hi, we're live on live stream, and today we're going to have two other hypnotherapists, both Jan and Jackie, join us. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name's Lorraine Gleeson, as you can see on the name of the screen. I qualified back in 2004 and have been working as a hypnotherapist ever since. I have my own training school, HSOH School of Hypnotherapy, and both Jan and Jackie have trained with us. But what we're going to be talking about tonight is taking hypnotherapy online, the pros and the cons of taking it online. So prior to lockdown, I had the odd client online, but when we went into lockdown, anxiety went through the roof. And I'm very, very funny. Whenever I work, I want it to be the same as in the therapy room. And what basically happened within the first few weeks of lockdown, one of my clients that I'd seen quite regularly, she called me, and she was working in the hospital, and she said, Lorraine, I am in meltdown and need you to scrape me off the ceiling, which is a lovely, lovely metaphor. My anxiety is off the roof. She said, I'm on 12-hour shifts. The wards that she was on were absolutely empty. She's wearing PPE, and she said, and I am slowly but surely going mad. And I feel like I'm going to turn into an alcoholic. So please, 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 please help me. You've got to see me online. And I said to her, right, I will see you online. We'll do it as a little bit of an experiment, but I want to work exactly as I do in the therapy room. Because to me, the face-to-face where, with my training, as both Jackie and Jan know, I love using the ID motor response, and I do lots of inner child gestalt work, I do lots of NLP work, and there's no way I wanted to be a clinical hypnotherapist, which basically reading out scripts, because I wanted to actually help people with the changes. So this client and I, we set up a time and a place. I joined on Google Meets, and she was in her bedroom, which was absolutely wonderful. We talked about, what she wanted to achieve. The ironic thing was the doorbell went and her delivery of alcohol arrived at the same time. And it was like, oh my God. She said, see, I told you I'm going to be a raving alcoholic if you don't help me out of here. So she got all set up. We set all the camera up. I did the usual induction, and where I used the ID motor response, I was doing all that online, did all the work, all the NLP work. I recorded the session live, which is what I do in the therapy room as well. Counted her up out of hypnosis, and she turned around and she said, Lorraine, I love coming to your office and seeing you, but this is much, much nicer because now I can lay down and have a nap. So that was my first experience, and I've gone on with others, and yes, I've hit some of the loopholes, but that's how I started online, and would share some of the other stories, because as the universe always does, when my last online client, I had everything happen. I had Amazon deliveries, we had music playing in the background, I had her getting up in the middle, and we can discuss all that later on. But before that, I'd like to introduce both Jan and Jackie, and they'll introduce themselves, a little background of their hypnotherapy and how they've ended up working online. So first of all, Jan, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. Hello. Yes, I'm Jan, and I first discovered hypnotherapy when I was at the tender age of 18, many years ago, while I was studying psychology. I then went on to have a career with sales and then training and development, and then came full circle, and I've now been a hypnotherapist for 12 years, having trained with Lorraine, as she mentioned earlier, and I love it. Still, 12 years on, I'm amazed at the results that hypnotherapy gets, and even more so now, having tried doing online hypnotherapy. Lorraine was talking about, what got you started doing online hypnotherapy? Well, the pandemic hit, and like everyone, you have to find alternative ways of working. But actually, I was really not keen on the idea of working online. It just wasn't something that had ever been on my radar. And I have to say, for a few months, I didn't do any work because I thought, no, it can't possibly work. Well, similarly, a situation happened, as with Lorraine. I had a client who was absolutely desperate for help. And they said, look, I don't mind doing it online. Will you work with me? And so I thought, okay, that's a message to give it a go. So I did the research, found out the technology. I thought I'll never manage the technology. But you know what? It was really easy. And actually, some clients think it's going to be difficult, but it's not. It's easy, even for any technophobe. So I did my first session and I was so pleasantly surprised. I couldn't believe that because I'd got myself organized, I'd thought about what to prepare and how it would work, because that's the sort of person I am, as Lorraine knows. It was wonderful. It was just the same for me as working face to face. It was, yeah, I've never looked back. And so since then, I've been working online and still am. And I even have clients that have been to me face to face and are now coming to me online. So yeah, all good.
Brilliant. Jackie, would you like to introduce yourself and how you
Yeah.
started online?
Oh, okay. So I trained with Lorraine just over 10 years, well, qualified with you just over 10 years ago. And I had a big corporate career before I became a hypnotherapist. But also I'm a holistic therapist and I wanted to expand what I did. I saw that there was a need for hypnotherapy and I use visualization a lot, which is a huge part of hypnotherapy in my world. Anyway, so love hypnotherapy, love the results we get each and every time. Jumping onto the same bandwagon with COVID, it hit. I was in the middle of working with quite a few clients, and it was either we went online or we didn't, and that was it. So a little bit of investigation about what platform I was going to use, how, thinking about things that might go wrong or what have you, just so we could cross the I's or dot the I's, cross the T's, etc. And the client who really jumps out was someone who I'd worked with previously, and we'd worked in my office, and we were 2 sessions into a 4 or 5 part program, and we went online, and she absolutely loved being online. I don't think I could ever get her back into my office. So for her, it's the back to the, I'm at home, I'm in my own space, I can chill out afterwards. And that's what so many people talk about. I think we had a couple of technical issues, but because I already knew the client, she was more than happy to just play around with me for 5 minutes, getting everything up and running. And I've never looked back. And I think we all have really busy lives, and to drive maybe half an hour to an appointment and then kind of come out of trance and have to drive back home. Although, yes, it's completely safe. People just want to chill afterwards. So it's lovely.
Definitely. So we've all made it sound absolutely wonderful. It all goes as a dream until we hit reality. And then we have hiccups of things going wrong. And I have to talk about a client this week because, as I said, the universe, they always throw you a curveball. And I was working with this client online. Now, it's very, very rare now that the internet goes down. It was amazing when you think we were all online, the internet was absolutely fine, everything was fantastic. So that's not something we come across very often. Well, I certainly don't. But this particular client, it was, we were on her first session, and we did all the pre-chat because, as we've all established, we did exactly the same. I filled out all the forms, found out what she wanted to achieve. And then I said to her, are you ready to be hypnotized? Because to me, that's always the magic question. She got herself all comfortable on the sofa. And where I use the ID motor response, I like them to have a pillow and position it there, because I do know on one of our HSOH meetings, someone suggested that you put a hand like that. And I'm a great believer that if ever I facilitate something, I experience it. Well, when you have your hand like that on the side, if you've got a pair of boobs, the more relaxed you become, the heavier your arm becomes, and it was actually painful for me. So I thought there is no way I'm going to get my clients with their hand across. So I do it. I get them to get a pillow, put their hand on the side, and I always facilitate it from closer to the screen. So I've got all settled. We managed to get all the cameras set and everything else done, and everything was fine. And I record my induction. I started my recording off and realised she had this most dreadful music playing in the background. It was horrific. I had not noticed it during the talk. And as I'm doing this, it was so distracting and it was so not in tune with the tone that I use. And I'm thinking, I can't do a whole session with this music. And then the doorbell went. Not my doorbell, her doorbell. And she opened her eyes. She said, that's an Amazon delivery. She said, I've got to go and get it. So I thought, okay. So fortunately, when I saw her pop up, I paused my recording. She popped up. She went and got her Amazon. And as she got, I said, right, get yourself comfortable. I said, and can you turn that music off? She went, Alexa, off. Which was, if I'd have known that, I'd have paused the recording and I would have shouted down the phone, Alexa, off. But she was all now, I was halfway through the induction. So I knew where I was at. I paused, did not mess about, because the thing with hypnosis, and it's one of the things that I always find quite odd on forums, people pop in and out of hypnosis all the time. And when we sit down in the evening and we watch a film, we don't, if we decide to get up and go to the toilet or go and make ourselves a coffee, we don't rewind the film to the beginning again, do we?
No.
So we don't need to restart from where we were. So I once she was comfortable, unpaused the recording, carried on and did the whole session. And it worked absolutely fine. That was one of the curveball that's thrown at me. Jan, have you got a curveball you'd like to share?
Yes, I've had a number of animals decide to take part in hypnotherapy, which is quite amusing. When you've got the camera in place, the hand in place, and then right up to the device, to the camera, comes a cat peering at you down the screen and meowing, which is quite amusing. But it's very rare that the internet goes down, as you said. It's, I can count on one hand how many times it's happened. But it's not a problem. What I say to them sometimes beforehand is, if I go quiet for quite a while, you'll notice I've gone quiet, and then you'll just open your eyes and click to reconnect. And that's what happened. And we reconnected. And as you say, I had mentioned, I said, if something like that happens, you'll just slip straight back into hypnosis. It's easy. And they do. Other things, I think once I had Amazon deliveries, but we just ignored them. Not here, with the client.
Yeah.
So, what's the worst that can happen? Not a lot, really.
Jackie, have you had any little curveballs thrown to you?
So I've had a partner walk in and kind of jump, realising that, he's come home from work and realising his wife or his girlfriend's been in the middle of a hypnosis session with me, and get all flustered and panicky. And it's like, you're just taking control. It's just like, can you just leave the room? And as you leave the room, client goes further and further, deeper and deeper. And the other thing was, a neighbour started banging on the wall, hammering something into the wall on one session. And it's like, with each loud noise you hear, you just become more and more relaxed, more and more, deeper and deeper. And you know, and sometimes it's quite funny. But one of the things I would say, if you're going to be a client of a hypnosis session online, just check what you've got in your background, because you do see some odd things now and then, especially because people often head to the bedroom and sit on the bed and do their session from the bed.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, just check out what's on your bedside cabinet or just behind you. So yeah,
Jackie, I'm intrigued now.
I'll leave it to your imagination, Lorraine. But yeah, I have seen the odd thing in the bedroom.
The odd thing in the room. Right, when we go offline, I'm going to have a private chat with you, Jackie, because I'm obviously missing something here.
Yeah.
Well, I've had cats and pop in, a little black and white cat, and when I do the minute silence, the cat pops its head up and just looks at the screen, waiting for me to talk again. Yes, absolutely. Any other little curveballs?
I was working with one young lady who she was sitting with the cushion to do the IMR, and she happened to completely slump forward, and I was just trying to encourage her to sit back up and keep her in hypnosis. So I couldn't do that. So I actually couldn't at this point see her fingers anymore, because she really just was completely over. So you just get the subconscious to give you a different yes/no response. And it was movements of her eyes, not her eyes, because we were down here. It was movement of something. Oh, that was it, her shoulder. I just got her shoulder to come up each time. So you just have to get creative with it.
Well, I had exactly the same. The camera slipped, but I just said, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. I want you to open your eyes. The camera slipped. I want you to put it back in the right position, please, and then go straight back in. So it's whichever way we deal with it. And she opened her eyes, moved the camera back up. I said, "Are you okay?" She went back down, and I carried straight on. What I love doing is because, as you know, in the therapy room, we all do the arm assurance procedure. I do the eye lock, and I was working with this super young girl this afternoon online, and I was doing the eye lock, and it was absolutely wonderful. I was watching her eyes lock tighter and tighter and tighter, and you could see her really screwing her face up, and then she started to laugh, and I said to her, "That's right, the more you laugh, the tighter your eyes look." So I still do all the assurance procedures as well. It's exactly the same as being in the therapy room.
Likewise, and it is fun.
Jan.
So one hiccup I had, it got to the end of the session, everything had gone perfectly well, but the client towards the end had gone very deep and probably just drifted a little bit too deep into sleep. And so I did the counting up to wake them up, no response. So I thought, okay, a bit louder, I'll do it again, no response. So then I got really loud. and eventually, when I was shouting into the computer, "Oh, is that the end?" And, and they came to. But I also gave suggestions to the subconscious mind to ask the person to wake them up, because they want to be able to enjoy hypnotherapy again, and they needed to wake up to be able to do that. So there's always a way, as Jackie said, to be creative and to find a solution.
Yeah. There's one lady that funny enough, we were working with sleep problems, and quite often she really struggled with the sleeping. But with the hypnosis, once you are doing the clinical bit, the bit where you're just doing direct and indirect suggestion, they do drop down into sleep. And she said, "Is it okay because I can always go to sleep at the end of the session, that you just leave me?" And I said, "Absolutely fine." And I just finished with you drift deeper and deeper, and I'm now going to disconnect, and you'll awake and feeling refreshed, happy, and all the positive things that we say.
Yeah.
So, with her, and then I used to leave a little message so that when she came to, goodbye, I'll email you your recording, and it was that simple. The same as in the therapy room.
Yeah.
So we definitely, the advantages are, like Jackie said, no driving. My clients love the fact that they're in their bed and they can afterwards relax for half an hour, and it saves time, money, and you're in the comfort of your own home.
But also, Lorraine, one of the big benefits that I found is with clients with anxiety. So I get quite a few clients that might have issues with driving.
Yeah.
So, of course, if we're doing the session online, they don't have to worry about getting to my place to have the session. They can do it online. And recently I helped a lady who she developed anxiety and a fear of going out, as well as a fear of driving. She'd actually been to me previously about 4 years beforehand and had face-to-face sessions. And she was, how can I put it? Yeah, she was not very keen on technology, but she said, oh yeah, I think that'll be a good idea. Anyway, so we did online sessions and she absolutely loved it. She said it was perfect because she could be in the comfort of her own home, and she actually preferred it. And she said, and actually, Jan, I don't think I could have got myself to you for the sessions anyhow.
Brilliant.
I worked with a lady who, funnily enough, she was 150 miles away. She would never have come to me anyway in person, but she had fear of driving and she hadn't driven for 10 years. And we got her out after her first session, just round the block, and then it gradually built up. And after the 4 sessions we'd worked together, she was off, and that was it. But it is that thing that anyone who's experiencing issues with agoraphobia, fear of driving, just generalized anxiety about being out and about, and also having gone through all of the COVID stuff, people who didn't necessarily want, or who were more vulnerable from an immunity point of view, didn't want to be out and about, it meant you could work with anyone. So it was great.
And we've had a question come in, which is? That's a very interesting question. I expect, Lynn, you've gathered with us chatting away that absolutely yes, it can be used for the hypnogastric band. It's, as far as I work, it is literally the same in the therapy room as it is at home. And yes, I've done the hypnogastric band with a few of my clients online. The thing I can't do is I can't wobble the chair.
The trolley.
The wobble the chair, because we have the sound effects with it, and when you're in the therapy room, we wobble your chair so you feel like you're going, but you can hear the sound effects going through the thing. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention before we talk about hypnogastric band with you two and all the other thing. Today, for the first time, my client could not get sound. She couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear her. So we tried a couple of platforms, and in the end, because we had picture, we actually called each other. So I opened the microphone in front of me, and we could see each other on the screen, and we were chatting. But we tried both Teams, we tried Google Meets, which is my favorite, as you know, particularly online, because it's very secure and very, very private. And that was another one. So hypnogastric band, either of you two?
Yep, same. And I think we talked about it in one of our meetings, Lorraine, how we couldn't actually wobble the person's chair as if they were on the trolley going down to the theatre. So it is now just about putting the suggestion in to give them that feeling that they're on the way to the theatre to have their hypnogastric band fitted. So yeah, there's workarounds for everything.
There is. Jan?
Nothing in particular to add. pretty much the same as, as what you said there. I think anything can be, any therapy with hypnotherapy, whatever the issue, can be done online. Because very few sessions involve touching the client. It's never been something that I've been involved in. So long as the client can hear you, hear your suggestions, that is the main thing, because they've got their eyes closed throughout. So it's the sound of your voice that goes with them and does the work along with their subconscious.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the I remember when it all hit, I saw certain schools advising, oh, you can't do inner child work, you can't have reactions. Well, the truth is, you can. And actually, you feel much more comfortable crying in your own home than you do. Well, actually, they just get used to it in our therapy rooms. And, when I was seeing this advice going out, I was thinking, well, that's madness. We can laugh out loud. So why can't we have the odd cry? So, straight away, there was no way that I was just going to do clinical hypnosis online. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it hasn't changed at all how I'm working. And the nice thing is, when someone goes into hypnosis and we want them to talk and they get really quiet and quieter and quieter, I turn the volume up on my headphones. It's really easy. Oh, this is a win-win situation. I can now hear you better. So, yeah. And the other thing is, because I quite often get a tickle and I cough, when I'm online, I just put myself on mute for 2 seconds.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can, can't you? Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not coughing and spluttering and things down the line. Yeah. So it's great. I just look like a muppet all of the time with my big headphones on. And
I know. They're not the most attractive things in the world, but they've got their eyes closed, so it doesn't matter, does it?
No, and I would, if my advice to anyone who's going to work online is to get a decent microphone and a decent so my microphone's built into my headphones. So if I look down to write anything, my microphone comes with me anyway. So yeah, I'm clear and they can hear me well. I'm never convinced sometimes about the microphones in my laptop. So
no, it sounds very tinny in the laptop. Yeah, but it is nice to be able to mute yourself.
Yep.
Well, I've never had any sound issues, and now I've got earbuds that I'm using, and they seem to work very well, and they're quite comfortable to wear.
So what advice do you send through to your clients when you are doing online?
Well, I send out a little guide just so that it gives the client some hints and some tips to help them prepare and for the session to run smoothly. So just simple things like asking them to have a pillow, a cushion to put their hand on, have a blanket to keep them warm, to make sure that they've got plenty of charge in their device, because that has been an issue once before. Somebody's run out of charge. They've run out of charge on their phone. Or I had one client who ran out of data. And mid-session, they had to reload data on their phone so that they could rejoin. So you learn you learn these things as you go. So I just give those hints and tips so that they have everything that they need to know, so that they can ensure that the session runs smoothly from their end. Also, the obvious things by asking them to make sure that they're not interrupted, that any devices are put to no call or airplane mode, whatever it is, so that no calls or texts come through. And And it's as simple as that. So I just think it makes it nice and easy. And
Yeah, we have.
and so the sessions run smoothly. Sorry, Lorraine?
Another question's come in.
Oh.
Hello, Brian. Good grief, that's nice to hear from you. Still working part-time. You've not tried online because you worry about the connection dropping. Has that happened to anyone? What did you do? Or any top tips? Thank you. We were discussing that earlier on, and I had one. Jan uses all the within her induction, don't you? About the connection dropping. I had one. We were actually in the middle of work. I think we were doing inner child work, and she went offline, and I just sat there very quietly. Can we do a beep beep sound when I swear? No, we can't. So I'm just going to mute. I thought, and I sat there quietly waiting for her, and sure enough, she realised, just like you said, Jan, that it'd gone quiet. 2 minutes later, she connected, and I said, "Are you okay?" She suggests to take a nice deep breath, close your eyes. I want you to see yourself in that circle of light, and I carried on from exactly where I was. Jackie, have you experienced anyone dropping?
Yeah, and a bit like Jan. So I give advice at the beginning. If we go silent for 2 or 3 minutes, then your subconscious mind will bring you back out, and we just reconnect. Sometimes what I do, and if you can do it when you're working on a platform like Zoom, you can see the little meter indicating that the connection's it's getting weaker. And what I have a tendency to do at that point is I just stop my video, and it stabilizes. So quite often I will run a session once they're in hypnosis without my video on, and then it's less strain, obviously. You don't need as much bandwidth, me being technical, and it's not a problem for the client because they've got their eyes closed and they don't need to see you. So yeah, just turn your camera off and it saves it. So yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant.
But I think the key thing is for Brian to know is that it's rare that it happens, isn't it?
Oh, I would say in the last 2 years it's happened once. Yeah, and that was recently after we decided that we were going to run this live stream and talk about it. Once, and that was the only time it happened to me. But I've got good internet, which I'm assuming you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The fibre.
Yeah. And I'm a great believer in manifesting. So if you believe it's all going to go wrong, it'll go wrong. If you believe it's going to go right, it'll go right. Yeah,
and I always remember one of the things you said to me, because Jan was the one that, you would have heard me loads of times talk about Jan on the track, because I always, every training course, Jan, I do talk about you. I can't help myself. I will always be grateful for your absolute patience of helping me write the training course, even though you did hurt my brain, and I didn't know my brain was hurt. You sat there as patient as can be. And one of the things I remember you said when you came back to write the course is you said to me, when you first start, Lorraine, you look for the IMR not to work.
Yes.
6 months later, you know it works, and you never ever look for it not to work, and it's the same with online, isn't it? When you first start, you start looking for these problems, like, is the internet going to connect? Is it going to work? Am I going to see that finger move? What happens? And then as you do more and more sessions, I don't know about you, but I get much more playful. Today when I was working with this young girl, I was really playing online as if she was, I had her giggling, and when her finger was twitching and everything else, it's just got easier and easier. But when I first started, that very first session with that nurse, I was terrified the internet was going to drop. I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do that. But now I'm as confident as when they come to the room.
And it's all about confidence and having belief and a knowledge that whatever happens, you can sort it. There's a way around things. It's confidence.
I've just it's normal now, isn't it? It's normal.
Absolutely normal. So, any more questions coming? Not at the moment. So we could just, any other stories that we want to share?
Well, just a comment really is that, you know, right at the beginning, I thought online hypnotherapy was going to be this big different thing. But, you know, I soon discovered that it's not. It's just the same as face-to-face. You do the same therapy. You don't have to change anything or miss anything out. And the great benefit is, I suppose, a positive benefit or difference is that the client is in the comfort of their own home.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, really.
I believe you've actually taken all your business online now, haven't you, Jan?
For the time being, yeah. You know, I will go back to having people face-to-face at some point, but I'm just quite happy working online for the moment.
Jackie, are you all online?
I have been, and I during house moves and different things at the moment. But that's the other thing is if I need to nip somewhere and be so during COVID and things, I ended up having to go somewhere else in the country, and I could still work. It didn't make any difference because I had my laptop with me. So that's the nice thing. So if you decide...
So do you have to be careful of your background, Jackie?
No, I'm very good with my background.
Be careful.
Very good with my background. So, yeah, that's the nice thing. So if you've got 3 clients booked in on the Friday and you want to take off for the weekend, you know, go on the Thursday night, do your 3 clients on the Friday online, and that's it, wherever you end up.
So we all know where she is when she's online working, and this nice office background is actually a beach.
Yeah, be lovely.
Yeah. And the other great thing is all over. You know, I've been working with people all over the country now, whereas you know before that wasn't possible. I've worked with a few clients abroad, which would never have been possible before. You know, it's certainly opened up the limits to me. And we have another question, I believe. Ritva, that's an easy one to answer. Come to our meetings or read your minutes because it's all in the last minutes that we sent out to you because this was the discussion that we had. So basically, we could recover it again. So I believe both Jackie and Jan, are you both using Zoom?
I use Zoom.
No, I use Google Meet.
I do.
And it's so easy, just really easy. And I learned about that from having a discussion at our meetings, and other people said that they used it. Yeah. And I just went online, did a tutorial, very short tutorial on how Google Meet works, and that was it.
Yeah,
simple.
And the great thing with Google Meets, it's free.
It's free.
You know, I'm a great believer is if you're spending money, you want it back, and Google are very, very much into security. You know, they're way above all the other security, and it's totally free. And you just send the link to people. But having said that, today we didn't get the microphone. Never had that before, but we overcame that problem by putting it all out. A lot of self-employed, the small businesses have gone onto Zoom, haven't they? Which is it's charging. I think it's quite a lot of money. It's something like £12.99 a month. And the way my brain works, being self-employed, that's 120, that's 150 odd pounds a year. I could spend that actually on the holiday that Jackie's on with her favourite. So, the Zoom is an option if you want to spend money, but Teams are very, very good, and that's totally free as well. I personally, I've never one of the things I've learned about working for yourself is never be first, is wait, because all the others, everyone gets it all ironed out first, and you can just sit back and watch what everyone else do. I tend to wait until a corporate makes a move. As soon as the corporate makes a move, I will follow the corporates, and the corporates use Teams. So what platform do you use, Jackie?
So I use Zoom a lot, and I lock my room once we get in and things. So I know there was always some issues at the very beginning with Zoom about security, but they've addressed a lot. Yeah, because I was using Zoom for family meetups as well, it just was second nature to me. So having the familiarity with it. And there's a lot of other things I do online with other groups that use Zoom. So I think it's whatever people are familiar with.
Yes.
And like all of these things for the client, all of the platforms we're talking about for the client, they're just tapping a link to get in, and that's the ease of it for the client.
Yes.
So as long as it works for the client, that's the main thing.
And all of them are a link. Google Meet,
brilliant.
Teams, Zoom. It's all just tapping on a link to join.
And also what works well for me with using Google Meet is I then, once I've sent the appointment to the client, the next appointment, I can then click on Google Drive and then send their MP3 recording for them to listen to. So it's all there in one place, really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something on my to-do list after the last session we had, the last meeting, to have a look into that. So I will do it at some point.
I'm aware Zoom's popular, but it's a monthly charge, I believe.
It is. Yeah. And you're right, it's about $12.99 a month.
Which, when you work that out over a year, it's you could have another holiday, Jackie.
Oh, yeah. No, and I think going back to there's so much out there in terms of YouTube. So whatever platform people decide to work on, kind of in response to the question about will you be running some training about it, there's so many videos out there to show you how to use whatever platform you want to work with. And it's
simple.
It's
how I learned Audacity, which is what I record on. Just go on YouTube. How do I copy and paste in Audacity? And it shows you how to do it. I don't know how these people have all this time to make all these YouTube videos. You can YouTube anything, can't you? It doesn't matter. You can just YouTube it. I had a big hole in the wall. I wanted to use that foam. I couldn't open the phone. Went on YouTube, and there was someone showing me how to do it. With me, it's been just trial and error. And it is for me, it was when I first started, it was nerve-wracking. And I hope you've noticed how much our meetings have improved over the course because we do a lot online now, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And it means I can get there, because otherwise, being so far away at times, I can't get there. So it's great.
Yes. I believe we've got another question. What meetings are we talking about? Because we're all part of the HSOH, Hampshire School of Hypnotherapy. We have quarterly meetings where they either come face to face or we join online, and we talk about basically it covers our supervision. We have fun. Sometimes we do rapid inductions. It's because the hypnotherapy world can be so lonely. You lot are just lucky that I love you all. And I like to help you all. And to me, I just think it's nice to see each other. and also it encourages us with ideas, because I think we're a very sharing group.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's motivational, I think, as well, because, you get together and you have a chat, you talk about different things, you share ideas, and it really gives you a boost to go away and do something slightly different. Even if it's just one thing that you get from the meeting, it's worth it. Yeah,
So
it's
you
great.
really enjoy them,
Yeah.
Jackie?
Well, I want to say I have never ever eaten shop bought salad dressing after one of our meetings.
Oh, no, that was a medallion. Was that the modality switch? Yeah. I'm going to have to do the modality switch again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I had a friend's recently, and there's like shop bought salad dressing on the table, and I'm like, have you got a little bit of olive oil and balsamic? I can't eat
yeah, we have had some fun on those.
Yeah.
With our Christmas, it's particularly the Christmas ones. We do all of
Yes.
those, don't we? All the techniques and everything. Yeah. And what is nice with the meetings is listening to each other working with our clients. It reminds us of certain techniques you've forgotten, certain scripts you haven't used. Yeah. I really enjoy them because it can be very, very lonely.
And also being part of and I haven't really pinged anyone recently on our Facebook group, but you might have a client who you've just hit a little bit of where do I go next with this? And it's nice just to ask for some feedback. You're not breaking any confidentiality. You're not discussing client names or anything. You're just getting some extra thoughts and maybe something you haven't thought about in terms of taking that client forward with. So yeah, it's a great community to be part of. Yeah. I'm starting to lose my voice, ladies.
Well, I should imagine shortly we'll be finishing, because we've shared everything online. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so. We've covered most things.
Yes.
Maybe we should finish with a message about what we would say to people who have been thinking about online hypnotherapy. A sort of a summary.
Yes.
Well, I suppose I would say it's easy. So if you're worried about technology, it's not difficult. It's really easy for the biggest technophobe. And just give it a go, because you don't know until you try. You only have to have one session, and then you'll find out how well it works, and get the benefits from it. So I think that's my message. Give it a go.
And the great thing is, it doesn't matter where in the country or where in the world you are. Oh, what you're doing, Jackie. But a little bit of advice. Be careful what's in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And for other people, hypnotherapy, if they're interested in training, we've got our training dates coming up. They're all on our lines. And I think at some point we should all plug our little own websites. Mine, I will plug the school, which is hsoh.co.uk. Jan?
Serenity Hypnotherapy, which is www.hypnotherapyinportsmouth.co.uk. And you can also find me on Facebook at Serenity Hypnotherapy Portsmouth.
Wonderful. Jackie?
And I'm Valentine Hypnotherapy online. You'll find my website there, and I have a presence on Facebook, JV Hypnotherapy, and Instagram, same, JV Hypnotherapy. So I'm out there and about. So yeah.
Yep. So it's absolutely fantastic. I look forward to seeing you two at our next meeting. And,
likewise.
Yep. And
thank you, Lorraine.
Yep. And I look forward to it, and we'll do over and out then. Okay, then.
Over and out. Great chatting.
And you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.